And before we talk about logical data model in detail, let us spend some time knowing about two people who are considered to be the experts in data warehousing field. We already had a brief introduction to them early in the course, and we know they are Bill Inman and Ralph Kimball. They both have very different approaches to how the data warehouse should be built. Some people follow Kimball's approach and some follow Inman's approach. Let us try to understand what the differences are between the two approaches. The first difference is that Inman's approach is data-driven, which means that all the information related to the organization should flow into the data warehouse, and that should serve as a corporate information factory. Whereas Kimball's approach is more metrics-driven or business process-driven, which means you pick a process in an organization and build a data mart for it. It is very specific to the process rather than getting an overall picture of the business. The second main difference is Inman's approach is top-down, whereas Kimball's approach is bottom-up, which means Inman proposes to create the enterprise data warehouse first and then create small data marts, whereas Kimball's approach is to create the data marts first and then combine them together using the bus architecture to create the enterprise data warehouse. The third difference is that the data warehouse in Inman's approach is in third normal form, whereas Kimball's follows something called dimensional modeling for the data marts. So if I have to show it in the picture, I would show it like this. For Inman approach, we have various sources which are used to acquire the data. Then we have the data warehouse, which might have a landing area, also called staging area, which feeds into the data warehouse. The data warehouse is in third normal form. We can have data marts or cubes, which can be created after the data warehouse has been created, and if the business wants to query on something very, very specific. For Kimball's approach, we again have the sources, and then we have the data warehouse, which contains staging area, and then the various data marts, which combine to form the data warehouse. The data mart is in dimensional format, also known as star schema. All reports and cubes can directly be built on the data marts. So now we have seen what the difference is between the two approaches. And let us see how we can decide on which approach to take for a particular project. If the project is for creating business metrics or performance measures and scorecards, then Kimball's approach can be taken. Whereas if the data is non-metric and needs to fulfill all organizations' need, then Inman approach can be taken. If there is a small team and the need for the data warehouse application or the first data warehouse application is urgent, then Kimball approach can be taken. And if there is a large team and organization is fine with longer time, then Inman's approach can be taken. Lastly, if there is a need to show lower initial cost, then Kimball's approach is more suitable. Now, since we mentioned Inman and his normalization approach, let us talk about what is normalization. Normalization is one of those topics that can have a whole session to explain. So here, I will just give you a basic definition of normalization. And if you're interested in learning more about normalization, please visit our website. Normalization is the process of efficiently organizing data in a database. It helps in eliminating redundant data and ensure that data is logically stored. There are a series of guidelines for ensuring the databases are normalized. They are referred to as normal forms and are numbered from the lowest number of normalization referred to as first normal form or 1NF through 5 or 5NF. In practical applications, you'll often see one first normal form, second normal form, and third normal form.